Trump and the Russians again.
Nope, this time it's Ukraine.
Let's talk about it, y'all. Middle America.
Well, we're back.
It is
Democrats have struck
September.
again.
Let's see.
The 25th, right?
It's the 20th.
Well, just switched to the 26th.
It's 1:30 in the morning Eastern Standard Time right now. So that means
It's now the 26th.
it's now the 26th, and we at Middle America represent Middle America, who are hardworking, God-fearing individuals, and we're hardworking, God-fearing individuals. And so it's 126, but we had to bring it to you. Now, look, we're coming up to literally the 1 year mark for when it's time to elect our next president or keep this one. Mm-hmm. Babe, is Medicare for All a headline topic right now in CNN?
No.
Is the border? How about immigration?
Nope.
No?
Nope, try again.
How about getting us out of the multi-trillion-dollar wars that we've been caught up in?
Not at all.
No. No. Gee, I mean, I don't know what else. Abortion, maybe? I mean, abortion.
That's a pretty hot topic. No.
No? Like. So none of the major issues that are going to be front and center and decisional in regard to electing our president is front and center in the media now. But do you know what is? A whistleblower, and technically he's not a whistleblower, but let's continue with it. A whistleblower accused Trump. He or she heard second or third hand that Trump was engaging in quid pro quo, which is basically you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, with the president of the Ukraine. This is post the Mueller report. So what we're to believe is that after the 3-year jihad with the Mueller report and all of his friends getting scooped up and arrested, and some of them flipping on him, after he came out of the Mueller report, that Donald Trump went right up to the Ukrainians, and which I guess they were part of the Soviet Union, so I guess it's all the same,
yeah.
To these folks. We're to believe that this man
Basically threaten these people
with financial and military aid unless they did some research on Hunter Biden, which happens to be Joe Biden's son, who happens to be the frontrunner, the media-appointed frontrunner of the Democratic Party. You know what's interesting? I have not met a single human being in our state, which is a blue state. Mm-hmm. I have not met a single human being who has vocalized that they are voting for Joe Biden.
Oh, no, me neither.
Or that they're excited to vote for Joe Biden. I've literally met no human being. You know what's funny? During 2016, I hadn't met a single human being who was excited for Hillary Clinton other than my son.
Right.
Dorian was a giant Hillary Clinton fan.
He was.
And he was literally the only human being in my state that I interacted with. And we interacted with literally
lots of people. Hundreds.
Maybe thousands. Well, in the year 2016, I could say thousands of human beings in our state.
Yeah.
I can say that with some pretty secure confidence. And you know what? Not a single one of them were excited to vote for Hillary Clinton. And you know what else, which is interesting? Maine kind of does electoral votes a little bit differently. Mm-hmm. And Trump actually got a few electoral votes from Maine. Yeah. Oh. I think he got like 2. So this is a strange thing where... he won Maine's 2nd district.
It's interesting because when people were talking, when I did hear people talking about Hillary, they were always, it was basically like, oh, we might have to do that because they didn't want Trump.
Right.
And then when you heard Biden's wife talking about Biden, it had that same feel to it. Just swallow it. You know what I mean? Like.
Right. So.
A little bit of a pattern here.
So, I am to believe that Donald J. Trump is so intimidated by Joe 330 Biden The guy who even Democrats are now questioning, even his the folks who shared the debate stage are questioning his mental acumen and his fitness to run for the presidency, much less.
He didn't know which state he was in.
Yeah. Oh, there's no place like Vermont. He was in New Hampshire.
Yikes.
There was that one part in the debate where Bernie.
Wave the white flag,
Where
buddy.
Bernie had to tell him Julian Castro went after him, and he didn't hear. So Bernie, who was farther away, than Biden was, had to lean over and say, "Hey," he says, "that you don't know what the hell you're talking about, and that you're losing your memory and going senile." That's what he said. That's why you need Medicare for all, Joe, because you're losing your mind here.
Oh my gosh. Yikes.
We're to believe that Trump put his entire presidency in peril to go after Joe 330 Biden and his son. And so that's what we're to believe.
Yeah.
Well, today, Mr. Trump released the transcript. Now, immediately, the minute I say transcript, babe, somebody's going to say, no.
Yeah.
No, there was a stenographer, so it's the best of her memory, yada, yada, yada. Okay, fine. I'm going to read certain sections of the Trump memo, okay, with Ukraine, and then you beautiful people can tell me where exactly the quid pro quo actually is, right? Because that's really the issue, right?
Absolutely.
We need to understand this thing here. So here's the, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna use CNN's thingamajiggy because CNN has highlighted the pertinent parts because CNN is completely objective about this thing.
Absolutely.
Now I will tell you, I am not objective about this subject. You know why? Because I'm a regular American.
Yeah.
I am not a career politician, and I am not one of these people in the media. I'm a regular dude in America, and here is what I, as a regular dude in America, have experienced for the last 3 years. All you guys were telling me, you, CNN, you, MSNBC, you, Rachel, the Russians are gonna freeze Fargo people out and kill them all during the ice, whatever. All you guys are telling me that there was this vast Russian conspiracy, that Mr. Trump was being held hostage to Vladimir Putin because he's got this tape of him with some Russian prostitutes and he's a Russian agent, all this crazy stuff. You guys have been telling us this nonsense. You guys were saying that you saw the Mueller report and it was damning. I heard damning, babe. Damning.
A bunch of times. Yeah.
And then we all sat through the debacle that was the Mueller report, and it was absolutely ridiculous. It was clear.
It was damning to somebody.
It was damning to Sadat, correct. It was damning to Hillary Clinton, who actually partnered with Fusion GPS to actually partner with the Russians to get dirt on Trump.
Yep.
So it was actually the Clintons who did that, and the members of the DNC who did that, and Mr. Mueller could not answer why he wouldn't go after the DNC or Hillary for doing exactly what they were accusing Trump of. Oh, but I forget.
Questionable behavior.
One of the lawyers on Mueller's team was saying "Viva la resistance."
Right. That's right.
And saying, "Hell no, we're not going to let Trump take office." Now look, I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I did not vote for Donald Trump. I will not vote for Donald Trump because I believe in Medicare for all. I have been critical of Donald Trump on this channel and in other forums. But here's the thing. I do not like being lied to, and I do not like being manipulated. I don't like that. And when we sat through the debacle that was the Mueller report, it was obvious that they were trying to play us.
Yep.
So now, when I hear about Ukraine, I'm very, very skeptical.
Yeah.
Now, I can be converted. But dear listener, I'm not going to sit up here and lie to you and pretend that I'm completely objective and that I've got a clean slate and I'm just going to look at the facts like there isn't an entire historical context here. Sorry, Now, I know what some of you are going to say. You're saying, oh, you're saying you're not objective, blah, blah, blah. Neither are you.
Right.
Let me tell you something. If you really think, if there is no skepticism whatsoever in this latest, hullabaloo about the Ukraine, if you're not skeptical at all, if you immediately believed it, you're not objective either. The difference between you and I is I'm honest about my biases. And yes, the media, the left, and the entire institution that brought us the Miller Report and brought us 3 years and millions of dollars that could have been going to other things. Those people have absolutely biased me against this. But I can be convinced otherwise. And you know what? I think that'll be good for America. Because I think Medicare for All is a good eventuality for America. And you'll notice that Trump feels absolutely zero pressure to address Medicare for all because we're too busy doing this silliness.
Yep.
So we're gonna continue to have Americans dying for lack of insulin because the DNC can't figure out that nobody cares.
It's ridiculous.
Especially after the Miller Report. Nobody cares. What we care about is we don't want to wake up tomorrow and hear that 60 more of our countrymen have been shot in the street. What I care about is I don't want to keep hearing about the Alex Smiths of our country who die because they age out of their mother's insurance. That's what we care about. I don't care about a phone call to Ukraine. I don't care. Not even a little bit. But I can be converted. So let's see what Mr. Trump had to say to Mr. Zelensky. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing. You can read the whole thing. We'll provide the link in the description. The President, congratulations on a great victory. We all watched. From the United States, you did a terrific job. The way you came from behind, somebody who wasn't given much of a chance, and you end up winning easily. It's a fantastic achievement. Congratulations. President Zelensky, you are absolutely right, Mr. President. We did win big, and we worked hard for this. We worked a lot. I would like to confess to you that I had an opportunity to learn from you. We used quite a few of your skills and knowledge. Following a pattern seen with other world leaders, the president of Ukraine returned Trump's compliment with flattery. Look at this nonsense in CNN. Hello? Following a pattern with other world leaders.
That's like anybody, anywhere.
Hey, dummy. When somebody compliments you, usually what human beings do, generally speaking, is that you compliment them back. Oh, did you lose weight? I like the way that shirt looks on you. Well, that haircut is badass, I gotta tell you. That's how it works.
Yep.
That's how normal human interactions go. But listen to this. They're acting like this is some new thing. You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to imply that this dude Zelensky is under Trump's boot.
Yep.
In some unique way. Hello, the vast majority of the world is under the U.S. president's boot. That's why it's called the most powerful office in the world. That's why the president is called the leader of the free world.
Yep.
How do you think conversations with Mr. Obama went? You think Mr. Obama was saying, hey, congratulations, Zelensky? And Zelensky was like, screw you, Obama.
Right.
Screw you, trillionaire world leader.
No.
What stupidity? Anyway, I think I should run more often so you can call me more often and we can talk over the phone more often. That's a very good idea. I think your country will be very happy about that. Okay. Here's Mr. Zelensky. Well, yes, to tell you the truth, we're trying to work hard because we wanted to drain the swamp here in our country. Drain the swamp is obviously Trump's phrase about the corruption in Washington. Here's CNN's objectively unbiased note. Zelensky is echoing Trump's own campaign rhetoric to drain the swamp in the United States. You see, now they've got to slaughter this guy. They got to slice his throat too. Because how dare he?
Yeah.
Maybe Zelensky's smart and he realizes that, Trump was able to appeal to the common man in his country. Maybe I can do the same thing. You know, that fella over there, the silly guy over there in the UK, he did the same thing. Maybe if all of us did that, there's a whole bunch of people that are upset about government corruption, and we can all play the populist card. Well, it's very nice of you to say that. I will say that we do a lot for Ukraine. We spend a lot of effort and a lot of time, much more than the European countries are doing, and they should be helping you more than they are. Trump's stated reason for holding
Germany
up...
does almost nothing for you. Jeez.
Right. Germany does almost nothing for you. Trump's stated reason for holding up the funding was to get European nations like Germany to give more financial aid to Ukraine. Okay, so I'm going to jump ahead a little bit. Trump actually did freeze about $400 million of aid to Ukraine.
Yep.
And his explanation was he was trying to put pressure on the European countries like Germany to give, to help. Mm-hmm. We've done that in a multitude of situations. Sometimes it actually was about to happen in Germany. There was a group in Germany that was telling their prime minister to stop taking in Syrian immigrants during the ISIS crisis so that other people could help because they were doing the lion's share of the labor. So this is a common thing that countries, especially UN countries, do. They'll say, why are we carrying this weight? We're going to stop. You guys help out. This happens all the time. And that gives Trump an explanation for why he froze about $400 million. Now, I will help you, dear listener. At the time of this call, it was reported that Mr. Trump, that Mr. Zelensky did not know until a month later
of that freeze.
That the freeze was there. So this was not in the background of Mr. Zelensky. He had no idea. Okay. All they do is talk. I think it's something that you should really ask them about.
I mean, I think it's weird that it took a month for them to find that out. I mean, that's a big chunk of money coming from a pretty important place. So I do think that that's weird. I don't know anything about it. It sounds suspicious to me, but I don't know anything about it.
Well, I mean, I think that people expect aid from the U.S. like clockwork.
Yeah.
And so he wouldn't think to ask about it because everybody just expects it from us because we hand out billions of dollars a year literally all over the world on schedule. And so here he goes. When I was speaking to Angela Merkel, okay, so Angela Merkel is the head of Germany. Mm-hmm. She talks Ukraine, but she doesn't do anything. I wouldn't say that it's reciprocal necessarily because things are happening that are not good, but the United States has been very good to Ukraine. Every word here matters and will be closely scrutinized. There is no doubt chief among them. What does Trump mean here? What he means is that the U.S. is carrying the heaviest load as far as financial aid to the Ukraine goes, and that Angela Merkel is talking, but is not ponying up any money. That's what he meant.
Mm-hmm. That's what it looks like he was saying.
Zelensky agrees, you're absolutely right, you're 100% right. They talk about the sanctions, they're not enforcing the sanction, yada, 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 yada. We're ready to buy more javelins from the United States for defense purposes. Some texts included the $400 million aid package is $250 million in military aid the Ukrainians were expecting from the U.S. that Trump had held that aid up, but it was ultimately paid after an outcry on Capitol Hill. You notice how they don't mention that Zelensky had no idea that the money was held up? You notice how they don't mention that? Mm-hmm. They don't mention any of that. But CNN is being completely objective here. I'm the only one that's Here's the president. I'd like you to do us a favor, though, because our country has been through a lot and Ukraine knows a lot about it. I would like you to find out what happened with this whole situation with Ukraine. They say CrowdStrike. I guess you have one of your wealthy people, the server. They say Ukraine has it. There are a lot of things that went on in the whole situation. I think you're surrounding yourself with some of the same people. There's nothing subtle about I would like you to do us a favor. This is Trump's first mention of U.S. politics. CrowdStrike is a firm that investigated a DNC data breach during the 2016 election. It's also the center of Rudy Giuliani's effort to investigate how convicted tax evader and former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort was implicated for work he did in Ukraine. The president continues. I would like to have the Attorney General call you or your people, and I would like you to get to the bottom of it. As you saw yesterday, that whole nonsense ended with a very poor performance by a man named Robert Mueller.
Oh my God.
So
incompetent performance.
An incompetent performance. Whatever you can do, it's really important that you do that if it's possible.
Well, he said a lot of it, people say a lot of it started with Ukraine, so it makes sense that he's going to him.
Yeah. It's very important for me and everything that you just mentioned earlier. For me as a president, it's very important, and we're open for any further cooperation. I will personally tell you that one of my assistants spoke with Mr. Giuliani just recently, and we're hoping very much that Mr. Giuliani will be able to travel to Ukraine, and we will meet once he comes to the Ukraine. I guarantee as the president of Ukraine that all the investigation will be done openly and candidly. That I can assure you. What's interesting here is that the first mention of Giuliani in this transcript did not come from Mr. Trump. Now, Rudy Giuliani, is Trump's personal lawyer. Mm-hmm. He was also the former mayor of New York when I was coming up. So I'm very, very familiar with Mr. Giuliani. Mr. Zelensky mentioned Giuliani before Trump. That wasn't given to us either. Good, because I heard you had a prosecutor who was very good and he was shut down, and that's really unfair. A lot of people are talking about that. The way they shut your very good prosecutor down, and you had some very bad people involved. Mr. Giuliani is a high respected man. He was a mayor of New York City, a great mayor, and I would like him to call you. I will ask him to call you along with the AG. Rudy very much knows what's happening. He's a very capable guy. If you could speak to him, that would be great. Now here's CNN's note. Biden, many Ukrainians and other Western officials wanted the top Ukrainian prosecutor, Shokin, fired because he wasn't prosecuting corruption. In Trump's telling, he was shut down, and that's really unfair. Trump specifically asked Zelensky to listen to Giuliani, his attorney who wants an investigation of Biden. The addition of Attorney General William Barr, the top prosecutor in the U.S., may be a new politicization of the DOJ beyond what we have seen. Whoa. Hey, CNN, why isn't it that Mr. Mueller did not do any investigation on the Clintons for their activities with Fusion GPS and the Russians? Yep. Hey, CNN, how come you didn't say that this is a politicization of the DOJ when Mr. Mueller had folks on his team that were saying "Viva la Resistance" and saying things like "Hell no, we're not going to allow Trump to be to continue as the president"? How come all of the Russia connections to the DNC and Clinton were outside of Mr. Mueller's purview as to why he didn't go and investigate that form of corruption? But you're going to tell me that that William Barr, who is actually taking over the Russian investigation from Mueller, during the whole Mueller cross-examination, when that guy was drilling Mueller and he kept saying, I don't know, and the guy said, well, that's okay, because William Barr is investigating and he's going to publish a report too. Yep. To which Mr. Mueller did one of these things. So none of those were examples of corruption beyond what we've ever seen. But William Barr going to the Ukraine with Rudy Giuliani to tie up the loose ends of the Russia investigation, that is some crazy corruption.
That's beyond the pale.
This is beyond the pale. Where are your pearls, Sori? Clutch them. Like, these people think that we're dumb. Mm-hmm. These people in CNN. They think we're dumb, and they think we don't have any memory. Well, we remember the Mueller report. Yeah. We remember Mr. Mueller's performance.
And they're banking on the fact that, you remember when you were in school, they always had these little boxes where they put like a little bit of the information that was in the larger text for people who didn't want to read the whole thing. And so they're clipping just pieces of it and slanting stuff in a certain direction. So you think you read the report, but you didn't read the report. You read CNN's report on the report.
Sadak and all their little helpful notes. Yeah. And I'm not going to read the rest of it. If Zelensky hasn't gotten the message that he should talk to Giuliani, perhaps he does now. Who was the one that introduced the name Giuliani into the conversation? CNN? Yep. They're making it sound like that Zelensky's just, I don't know, okay, should I talk to Giuliani? He was the one that brought it up, dummy! What the hell is wrong with you people? Yep. He brought it up! He was the one that brought up the name! Alright, well, apparently somebody sent this to me. I literally have not watched this clip. And so here's Will Chamberlain who tweets, and he says, stop projecting, Joe. So, here it is.
I was, not but it just happened to be, that was the assignment I got. I got all the good ones. So I got Ukraine. And I remember going over convincing our team, or others too, convincing us that we should be providing for loan guarantees. And I went over, I guess, the 12th, 13th time to Kyiv, and I was supposed to announce that there was another $1 billion loan guarantee. And I had gotten a commitment from Poroshenko and from Yatsenyuk that they would take action against the state prosecutor, and they didn't. So they said they were walking out to press conference. I said, no, I said, I'm not going to, or we're not going to give you the $1 billion. They said, you have no authority. You're not the president. The president said. I said, call him. I said, I'm telling you, you're not getting the $1 billion. I said, you're not getting the $1 billion. I'm going to be leaving here. I think it was, 6 hours? I said, I'm leaving in 6 hours. If the prosecutor's not fired, you're not getting the money. Oh, son of a bitch. Got fired.
That's the prosecutor that was investigating his son, by the way. Trump doesn't mention anything about aid. He doesn't mention anything about military intervention, anything like that. He mentions nothing. And if you want to call me a Trump apologist, because I know some of you are so emotional about this whole situation. You're so emotional. Here is The Hill. Is The Hill a right-wing outlet? Trump's Ukraine transcript. Unwise words, but no proof of a crime. Unwise words, but no proof of a crime. And yet, here's Biden bragging.
That's
which,
crazy.
by the way, in the transcript, Mr. Trump said he's going around bragging. He was bragging publicly that he withheld $1 billion from these people, not 400 million. By the way, 400 million, if you round up, is $500 million. Mm-hmm. This dude had $1 billion. And he said, you don't fire this dude in 6 hours, we're out. Now look, supposedly this dude was corrupt. I don't know anything about this guy. Fine. But the fact of the matter is, it just so happens that the guy that Biden wants fired was investigating a group of people, one of whom had the last name Biden, first name Hunter, and just happened to share his genetic makeup. That's right, that was his son. That's not a problem for you silly, hypocritical liberals who are going to take this country down the sewer. That's completely fine. It's the same thing you silly people did with Hillary. Completely fine. The hypocrisy of the left is killing America.
Yep.
Hello. You're running around calling Donald Trump racist and everybody who votes for him racist. Meanwhile, you are propping up Hillary. Black children like my son are super predators who need to be brought to heel, i.e. the crime bill, which sent hundreds of thousands of black men to prison and left millions of black boys without fathers. Clinton, that woman, she was the non-racist alternative to Donald Trump. You were talking about all this corruption with Russia, deploying the Russians to meddle in our elections by digging up dirt on Hillary. You found absolutely no proof of that, but there was obviously proof that Hillary was part of it. Even Vox admitted to it, and you didn't say a damn word. And now here we are. You want to impeach Trump because of supposed quid pro quo that we've got to read between the tea leaves and figure out. Yet Joe Biden just specifically said that he blackmailed the entire country to fire a guy that was investigating his son. Now, I'm not saying that Biden did that for those specific reasons. And the reason I'm saying that is because I'm not particularly certain that Biden even remembered that his son was on the board. Okay? To be honest with you. I mean, honestly.
I know, babe. It's crazy, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Now, look, people are making a really big deal about this. Biden was asked if he ever talked to his son about his business practices over there in Ukraine. And he said, I've never talked to him about it. And then the son said, oh, yeah, we talked about it. Now, all the right-wingers are saying, oh, he's lying. I don't think he's lying. I genuinely believe
he doesn't remember.
That he does not remember.
I think I could throw in with you on that.
But that's something actionable.
Yeah.
And that's something I actually would like to know about. Mm-hmm. because that's fishy to me, man. That's fishy to me.
Absolutely.
And the fact that Obama, I mean, you had Hillary as your Secretary of State. Send Hillary over there to blackmail the Ukrainians. Why the hell would you send Biden there when there's an obvious conflict of interest, Obama?
Yeah.
Were you not thinking into the future?
Or were you?
I don't understand this. Why? I blame Obama for this. I don't blame Biden. Because to me, Biden has the mind of, again, how could you not see that this would be bad? You know why he didn't send Hillary? Because he thinks, okay, Hillary's running for president. She's going to win. So he doesn't want Hillary involved in that mess, probably. So he sent Biden because Obama probably had no respect for him. I mean, Obama was the one that said, you don't have to do this, Joe. So this is one of these things where accusation consistently in the Democratic Party becomes confession. They are accusing Mr. Trump of doing exactly what they did. It's the same thing that happened with the Mueller report and the Clintons and Fusion GPS. And now we're seeing the exact same thing happen again. Now, I'm not going to get into this crazy conspiracy theory about Trump, engineered this entire thing. I just have a hard time believing that the man is that much of a forward thinker.
I mean, yeah, I think it's possible. I just think that if we're gonna read between the lines that much on Trump, then
yes,
we should be holding Biden accountable 1,000%. What is Biden's?
Very well said.
What is Biden's thoughts on the border and everything that's happening there?
Well, look, Biden was there when the deporter-in-chief Barack Hussein Obama. He deported a record high amount of people. They were the ones that built the cages.
See, what's
built the cages.
Troublesome to me is that here's Biden bragging about not using the appropriate. Let's say that the guy was corrupted, he should have been fired. He wasn't using the appropriate steps to get that to take place. But then there's all this judgment on families that are fleeing for their lives at the border. Oh, well, if they'd have come in, if they'd have come in the legal way.
Right.
But then you have somebody who's going in for a position of leadership bragging about the fact that he bullied somebody. I just think, well, that's very hypocritical.
Oh, yeah. He financially blackmailed these people and basically meddled with their political apparatus.
Yep.
Because that's a federally appointed prosecutor that they obviously did not want to fire.
Right.
And Biden used the weight of the United States position in the world to make that happen within 6 hours.
And the fact...
That's completely fine.
The fact that he wanted that guy fired that was investigating his son makes me think, oh, his son is probably guilty of something that you didn't want him to pull up on. These people that are coming across the border to save their families' lives, like these, not everybody's a criminal that's coming across. Some people it's just they were in danger and their lives were at stake. And so they dragged their kids across a desert to get them over there. Put their lives at risk to be able to get them there. But no, those people should have come in legally. It's just...
Yeah. Here's the Hill. Let's get real. Democrats were the first to enlist Ukraine in U.S. elections.
Sorry, one more thing. And then everybody's laughing when he says it in the room.
Oh, yeah, it's a big thing.
It's like, so that's how you feel about people not taking the appropriate channels? Okay, well, it's very hypocritical.
100%. Here's The Hill, another horrible right-wing outlet. Let's get real. Democrats were the first to enlist Ukraine in U.S. elections. Earlier this month, during a bipartisan meeting in Kiev, Senator Chris Murphy delivered a pointed message to Ukraine's new president, Vladimir Zelensky. While choosing his words carefully, Murphy made clear, by his own account, that Ukraine currently enjoyed bipartisan support for its U.S. aid, but that could be jeopardized if the new president acquiesced to a request by President Trump's lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, to investigate past corruption allegation involving Americans, including former Vice President Joe Biden's family. Murphy boasted after the meeting that he told the new Ukrainian leader that U.S. aid was his country's most important asset. and it would be viewed as election meddling and disastrous for long-term U.S.-Ukraine relations to bend to the wishes of Trump and Giuliani. I told Zelensky that he should not insert himself or his government into American politics. I cautioned him that complying with the demands of the president's campaign representatives to investigate a political rival of the president would gravely damage the U.S.-Ukraine relationship. There are a few things that Republicans and Democrats agree on in Washington these days, and support for Ukraine is one of them. Did you catch that? So here is what happens. You've got Joe Biden, who has a son who is part of an investigation of American corruption. He himself flies over to the Ukraine and threatens them. Says, I'm not giving you $1 billion. I'm about to get on this plane. He threatens them, so that prosecutor gets out. So here's the timeline. So Biden did that first. Trump, after the Mueller debacle, gets on the phone because now William Barr is taking over, remember, for the Russia investigation. Remember that. Trump takes over. In the conversation, he brings up the Biden thing. He says Biden's bragging. We saw it. He bragged during a meeting with the Council of Foreign Relations. So that's a public forum. And he knew it was going to be recorded. But that's Joe. That's Joe. Honest Joe is what I'm going to call him now. His mind has deteriorated so much that he can no longer lie well like a politician should. So that happens. Trump says, I need you to investigate this. Zelensky says, yeah, Giuliani, yeah, we've heard of him. He's like, roger that. We're going to send Giuliani down there. Inshallah, he'll be able to do that. By the way, he never sent Giuliani. He didn't follow up. He forgot about it. Ukraine is nothing to him. This is one of the reasons that people think that it's a conspiracy theory. Because he never sent Giuliani.
Oh.
And then, when the left hears of it, Mr. Murphy gets deployed to threaten the aid and the stature of the Ukraine by telling them not to follow up on an investigation about election meddling. Did you catch that? The only people committing crimes or bullying or quid pro quo or whatever you want to call it are the Democrats. They committed the crime. In my opinion, it was obvious conflict of interest at minimum with Biden. And then it's completely logical and rational that Trump would say, I need you to follow up on that because it's something that he got dragged through the mud about for 3 years. A bunch of his friends got locked up, etc. It makes complete sense. He offered no money. He didn't mention anything about money. And Zelensky knew nothing about the $400 million being frozen until a month later. Then here comes Murphy, who does go out of his way to bring up the fact that our aid to them is their most important asset and that he basically used that to blackmail them and say, you're going to fracture the united front we have to help you guys, to stop that investigation. Now, why, oh why, would Murphy not want that investigation to continue in the first place? Anybody think about that? Why in the world would Murphy get deployed to talk to Zelensky to threaten him not to continue that investigation? Are you leftists trying to tell me that if this was reversed and Trump was doing all this and that a member of Trump's party blackmailed them for over $1 billion and then threatened them to stop an investigation on corruption? Are you trying to tell me that you would say that's clear and obvious that Trump is guilty and he's hiding something? But you're trying to tell me that Trump is bad for saying we need to invest his career? Is this the same thing that happened with WikiLeaks? They're mad at WikiLeaks for exposing the fact that Hillary was corrupt as hell and that the DNC stole the election from Bernie. And what I
feel like the Democrats are always making us look like Trump supporters.
Well, that's the same thing that happens to Tim Pool. It's the same thing that happens to Tim Pool. And what these people do not realize is that I'm not supporting Trump. I'm supporting my own dignity as an American. You guys keep acting like we're dumb. We're not dumb. We're not stupid. We've seen what you guys have done for the last 3 years. We know. And here's the crazy part. There are people that are aching to vote for you, and you're consistently saying, don't vote for us. Sit this one out again.
Yep. Because
many people like us cannot bring ourselves to vote for Trump. But we can't bring ourselves to vote for Joe 330 Biden because now, on top of his impending senility. God forgive me if I'm wrong, but now we also have to deal with the fact that he's corrupt as hell. His son was in trouble, and he flew over there, and he used my tax dollars to blackmail an independent head of state. He used. Do you understand this? When Biden talks about $1 billion, it's not his $1 billion.
Right.
It's our
ours.
$1 billion. He used our money to blackmail the Ukrainian president into not investigating his son. And then Mr. Murphy then used the political power, and again, the implication of our aid, which is his greatest asset. He used that and the Ukraine status with America. He once again used us to stymie the investigation because the last name of one of the corrupt Americans was Biden. That's what happened. You silly, silly people. Now here's Nancy Pelosi getting dragged around. Now Nancy Pelosi, she got up there after the Mueller meltdown. She stood up there and she took the arrows from the idiots at TYT, and she took the arrows. God forgive me, I shouldn't have called them. She took the arrows from those people. She took the arrows from ALC, and she stood strong to keep the party together and give everybody a fighting chance in 2020. But what happened? She collapsed under the weight. She initiated this inquiry before she even read the damn report. All right, well, here's the last thing. Trump and Zelensky actually had a meeting.
Oh.
And it was captured on video, of course. And so here is the meeting between Trump and Zelensky. This is The Guardian, another terrible right-wing outlet.
It's a great pleasure to me to be here, and it's better to be on TV than by phone.
Yeah.
I think you read everything. So I think you read text. I'm sorry, but I don't want to be involved to democratic open elections of USA. No, you heard that we had I think good phone call. It was normal. We spoke about many things, and so I think, and you read it, that nobody pushed me. Yes.
In other words, no pressure.
President Trump.
Because you know what, there was no pressure. And you know there was, and by the way, you know there was no pressure. All you have to do is see it, what went on the call. But you know that. But you could ask the question, and I appreciate the answer. Go ahead. Over the last fairly short period of time, you've really made some progress with Russia. I hear a lot of progress has been made, and just keep it going. It'd be nice to end that whole disaster.
My priority is to stop the war on Donbass and to get back our territories, Crimea, Donbass, Lugansk. Thank you for your support in this case.
If you remember, you lost Crimea during a different administration, not during the Trump administration.
Yeah, so you have chance to help us.
That's right, I did. But that was during the Obama administration that you lost Crimea. The United States helps Ukraine, but I think that...
What does Dory say? That's rich.
That is rich.
That's rich. Now, this to me was the most embarrassing moment in for me as an American and as a male in America was when Obama went out on the White House lawn and he said, I'm going to have a red line, and if he steps over that red line, there's going to be consequences. So my man Putin said, word, there's going to be consequences, word. So he poked Obama, and as the representative of our entire country, me, in the eye, and we did nothing about it, and we let Crimea fall to who? Who took over Crimea? Maybe we have to Google it. Who took over Crimea? Who? Oh, that was the Russians. I thought Trump was working for the Russians. Isn't that true? Isn't that what you told me? Isn't that what you told me, Rachel Maddow? You told me that this guy was a Russian agent. Why is he sitting beside Zelensky and talking about getting Crimea back from the disaster.
Yep.
What happened there? What happened there, CNN? Good night. So, I mean, we saw what happened, right?
Oh.
Oh, look, here's The Economist. Crimea is still in limbo 5 years after who seized it?
Russia.
Russia seized it. Under Obama's watch. And he did literally nothing for those people.
Yep.
And this dude is a brilliant politician. Because he goes, yeah, he didn't even comment on the Obama thing because he knew what Trump was doing. He goes, yeah, I mean, now you can help fix it.
Yep.
Since it was such a disaster and
Yep.
you want to blame Obama, then help us fix it. Mm-hmm. Brilliant politician,
Yep.
this guy. This guy's no slouch. He handled himself very well and he wouldn't let himself get manipulated by Trump. Mm-hmm. Trump was trying to make it about Obama. You see what he did?
Yep.
He turned the conversation back to actioning,
Yep.
getting
That helped.
his
Yep.
his country whole, which is probably
Smart
why
guy.
he won in a comeback from behind victory. Mm-hmm. That's why. So if you were a Crimean citizen, or you're a citizen of the Ukraine, you're looking at your president showing out here, doing a good job, and angling the American president and using Trump's ego against him,
Yep.
essentially.
Yep.
In order to help his country. This is a shrewd operator, this guy. This isn't some lay down guy. But you heard what the guy said. And it's the title of the Guardian video. Nobody pushed me. You heard the call, he said. You saw the call. Nobody pushed me. End of story. Mm-hmm. But you know what happened? That's the reason that CNN already tried to demonize this guy in the notes. Mm-hmm. Now you see why.
Yep.
Because now what's going to happen is he's going to say, well, there's nothing to it. That should have been the end of it, right? There's no quid pro quo, and there was no pressure from the Trump administration. There was, we saw from Democrats. Mm-hmm. We saw that, but there was no pressure that we can prove. And this man said, nobody pushed me. Okay, so that's it. That's it. Mm-hmm. So here we are, ladies and gentlemen. And now you're pushing for impeachment. Thank you very much, Pelosi. Pelosi completely caved under the AOC Twitter pressure. She did. It was a terrible move. She was amazing after the Mueller report. If you go back and watch the Mueller report, the only positive thing that I had to say about the DNC was that Pelosi was the adult in the room. She held the line. But right now what's happening is that the DNC is being taken over by children. Children like Cenk and the folks over there at TYT and the so-called Justice Democrats, and children like AOC. And when I say child, what I mean is they're politically children. Pelosi is a hardened veteran. She was there during the Clinton impeachment process. She saw the havoc it wreaked on the Republican Party, and she saw the havoc that it wreaked on and the good that it did for the Democratic Party, particularly the president. She saw that. She lived through it. So she has what's called, you know what happens when you apply for a job? You know what, one of the first things, do you know why you have to produce a resume? Because the resume chronicles your experience. And there's a reason that no job will even look at you if you do not provide a resume. Because they're going to say, where's your experience? Now, experience does not always equate to wisdom, but more often than not, it does. And when Miss Pelosi said that she was not going to go after Trump after the Mueller debacle, that was wise and wisdom based on experience. I don't even know if AOC was born prior to the Clinton, before or after the Clinton impeachment fiasco, and even if she was a baby. She had no idea what the hell was happening. Now, this is a complete and total disaster. These people, I keep saying it. I said it after the Mueller thing. I said, let AOC and the squad, even the name the squad, reeks of millennialism.
Yep.
Millennials are not the only voting bloc.
Right.
You did not lose 2016 because of millennials. The squad, down with the struggle, the squad. You got AOC, the shrill gaff machine, who doesn't know what the hell she's doing. You have Ilhan, who has... You guys already know what's going on with Ilhan. I'm not going to mention it because I'm not going to bring up her personal picadillos into our thingamajig, okay? So, but if you've got a brain and you're watching what's going on with it, it's a disaster. These progressives, and look, after you saw the video with TYT, he was like, "We're coming after the Trump, thing happened," and we all recoiled in horror as Trump became the clear front runner and was winning. You remember that night? It was an extremely terrible night. Dude, you had chant, we're gonna crush you, we're gonna crush you, we're not playing with you anymore, we're gonna blah 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 blah. So these people want to destroy the party. I think, look, just do the Jimmy Dore thing, man. Get out of the party in total. Yeah. Start a progressive party, start a far left progressive party, and save the DNC for the love of God. But you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that. You stayed in there, and now Pelosi is being dragged around by the whims of children. Literally children. So this is where we're at. This is where we're at. And I'm extremely infuriated by this entire debacle. One, because my intelligence as American is being insulted. And I take that very personally. And two, we've got some viable candidates here. Andrew Yang has some very interesting ideas. And he's climbing consistently. And, Bernie's been preaching the same gospel for 40 years. And then you've got Tulsi, who is, I love Tulsi, but was punished severely for daring to go after, for basically destroying Kamala Harris. I mean, Kamala is never going to recover from that moment. I mean, that's it. That's it. And they were trying to prop her up as like the next thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because she went after Joe Biden for racism. They didn't punish her at all. They made a big headline story about it. Yada, yada, yada. So we've got people that can get busy and do work and actually beat Trump. I believe that Tulsi could beat Trump. I don't believe that there's going to be a debate moment where Trump can go after Tulsi. But I think Elizabeth Warren, Trump is going to annihilate her in debates. And when I say annihilate, I do not mean that he's going to out-argue her on better positions. Let me remind you that in the last, 30 to 40 years, there's literally not been a single candidate more qualified than Hillary Rodham Clinton. She knew her stuff. She was talking Bernie into circles. She knew her stuff. Now, I was not a fan of her, but there is nobody more qualified than Hillary Rodham Clinton. So Hillary should have eviscerated Trump during the debate. But you know what? The only thing anybody remembers from a debate between Hillary and Trump was Hillary saying, "I'm so glad that somebody with your temperament is not going to be in the White House."
He said, "You'd
and then
be
what
in
did Trump
jail."
say? You'd be in jail. That's the
it.
only thing it's been 3 years, it's the only thing anybody remembers in that whole exchange between Hillary and Trump. Tulsi would not have a line like that from Trump to her. Tulsi wouldn't. I mean, what are you going to do, Trump? You're going to pick on somebody that is still a major in the U.S. military that's put blood on the ground, that was a medic and had people dying in her arms and all the rest of it? No. There's no way in the world you're going to be able to do that. And she's going to talk about Medicare for all. She's going to be talking about getting us out of these pointless wars. And she's going to talk about being able to finance Medicare for all with the savings that we'll have when we stop bombing the hell out of people picking corn nuts.
Honestly, I don't know that he wouldn't say anything against her, because remember he talked about that POW and he was saying he was a loser.
He was talking about John McCain.
Yeah.
But it's I'm not saying that, because that actually worked against it. People were like, wait a second, whoa, hold on.
True.
What I'm saying is that moment where Trump said you'd be in jail was viewed positively by his constituency.
Okay.
Him calling McCain a loser was viewed negatively by his constituency.
That's true. Good point.
So he wouldn't be able to have a moment like that with Tulsi. He's going to destroy Elizabeth Warren because of the Native American thing. He's going to annihilate Biden. We don't even need to explain why. So here we are. I mean, here we are. Yep. And this to me just looks like the Democrats are looking at each other and saying, we don't have somebody that's... To me, this whole thing, honestly, I'll tell you the God's honest truth. I think that the heads of the DNC look at Tulsi and say, we could beat Trump. I think they even look at Bernie. He's lost a lot of steam, to be honest with you. His stuff on the immigration stuff, it's turning a lot of people off because he was running on populism, which is, hey, the normal everyday guy. Well, the normal everyday guy does not want you to expand Medicare for undocumented citizens. I do, but that's not what the normal guy wants, Bernie.
Right.
So, I think the DNC looks and says, Yang could win, Tulsi could win, but we can't have them because they're going to operate with too much integrity, and it's going to kill our opportunities for the cash cow that is political office.
Wow. You think that's?
I 100% believe that. So they propped up Biden, and then they propped up Kamala as their just in case, both of which are just regular run-of-the-mill establishment politicians. And they're saying we cannot beat Trump with an establishment politician, but we do not want the progressives to run the party. So what do? They say, well, if we have an establishment politician, there's no way that guy or gal is going to beat Trump. So let's come up with this nonsense so that we can knock him out because anybody can beat Mike Pence. I truly believe that that's the logic here. I truly believe that. So that wanting your cake and eat it too, wanting to beat Trump and wanting to beat him with an establishment Democrat, plus being led around by the nose with AOC because AOC figured out social media, so did Trump, and there's nobody else on the left who's come close to figuring out how to manipulate social media the way AOC does and the way Trump does. So it's basically what's happening is Trump is running against AOC when you think about it. At the end of the day, the only opponent he really has is AOC, and he knows it. He's done it so many times. He did it with the go back to your own house tweets, and you go back to your home tweets, and da-da-da-da. He knew exactly what he was doing. He knows that the crazy progressivism of the left is too far. You got these idiots. Gosh, I'm sorry. But you had somebody asked the question, raise your hand if you would extend Medicare for all to undocumented immigrants. And they all said yes. You can't do that. I am good with that. You're probably good with that.
I'm definitely good with that.
But the average American who's up to $60,000 in
not good with that
in medical,
at all.
Yeah. Now you're gonna raise your taxes. I'm gonna have to pay more so that this guy no. All right. Well,
we barely want to do it for Americans.
Correct. That's such a good point. People barely are willing to take the price hike for Americans. Now you want to extend that to undocumented. Again, I'm all for it.
As am I.
But I'm a Christian who believes that that's what the Bible tells us to do. And if it wasn't for God, I would not have that position. And in the vast majority, my own flesh and blood, my own son said it was a ridiculous idea.
Yeah.
So you can check it out in the last debate live stream because we posted it. This is where we are. I'm kind of ventilating my frustration here. The report is over. Make up your mind. Look, y'all, we don't have a lot of time. Okay? We're coming up to a year when all this is going to be decided. And I just need to know, because here's what happens. This happens to Jimmy Dore. This happens to Tim Pool. And I am in no way, shape, or form comparing myself to either one of those brothers. But it happens every single time when you're a left-leaning person or you want to vote for a Democrat, but the DNC keeps putting these things in your way, and then when the DNC gets criticized, then all the cronies come out and say you're just pro-Trump. So Tim Pool is pro-Trump, and Jimmy Dore, the Hill, now everybody's pro-Trump who's saying, how about we just focus on policy and get Trump the hell out of office by voting him out, because after all, this is America. All right, well, here we are. Love your neighbor.
Take care of each other.
Middle America.
We are the media.
Till next time, guys.